Omid and Kojo Show.
Hello, mate.
You know,
I've been, yeah.
all right. Well, I'm looking blue today.
Yeah, you are looking blue. You've been in the sun.
Right. I have been in the sun. I've been in the sun a lot lately, actually.
I wish I'd been in the sun. The weather up here is a shambles. The worst.
Is it bad today still?
Yeah. Tomorrow it's meant to be like beautiful.
Yeah, it's meant to be like 30 degrees tomorrow.
Yeah. But today it's shit.
All right. Should we tell the people what's going on? What the plan is for tonight?
Yeah, I'm also gonna pin a comment.
Go on.
Carry on though.
Which one did you put on?
No, I'm gonna type it out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we've got people to send in their flips, and we're going to have a look at those flips, and we're going to fix them. We're going to let you know what's going on with them.
Yeah.
And we love you too, Amir.
I love you, Amir. He's clearly one of my followers. One of the Iranian brethren. All right, so should we get straight into it?
Yeah, go on, slap one of them up. Let's get the coaching juices flowing.
Go on then, darling. Let's have a look at you.
Coaching fluids. All right. Nice TDR to start with.
Oh, get off. Sorry, I had to mute it.
Oh.
Right, so where are we going with this one? You want to kick us off?
We're going to be saying the same thing a lot when it comes to touchdown rays because it's normally the same mistakes. This one isn't bad though. It isn't bad. Like you definitely get some power out of that. Just the main thing is the point. I'll address it in third person, yeah. So it's not weird. So the main problem with his touchdown rays is that he turns his hips too early. So when he steps onto the left foot, his hips have already turned about 90 degrees, maybe a little bit more. And if your hips have turned to the side, then you can't swing your arms forwards. You're going to swing your arms to the side as well. So the easy fix for that is to step onto your left foot with your hips facing the direction you're traveling. That's the number one. That's the first thing to fix, I'd say. Yeah.
And one thing that will help with that is where you're spotting as well. If you look in the direction of travel for a little bit longer as well, then that'll just make it a lot easier to do the whole thing.
Yeah, I find following your arm that you aren't touching down with, if you look along that hand in front of you for as long as you can, that makes it a lot easier. Kind of gives you a point of reference to look at all the way through. But next one, because there's a few touchdown raises, so we'll go over some different points with some of the other examples.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, whoa.
All right. The B-twist.
The twist.
The classic B-twist mistake. I already responded to him about this. I didn't give the details. But basically, the details are he's dipping way too late. Pretty much everyone does this. Every B-twist that's going wrong that someone sends to me, they're normally making this exact same mistake. What you want to do is get your head and chest to its lowest point before you put your takeoff leg down. So he's taking off from his right leg. He needs to get his chest as low as possible before he puts his right leg on the ground. And then swing it across and lift it up in the takeoff. At the moment, he's putting it down after he steps onto his right leg, and that's what's making it much harder.
What helped me with that when I first started doing B-twists and stuff was it's a little bit awkward and it's not what you want to carry on doing throughout doing B-twist. But if you start trying to think about pulling your chest down towards, so for you it would be your left leg. So you bring it down to the left leg and then swing it down and around. And it's a really exaggerated version of what you would normally do in a B-twist, but it helps with actually like getting your chest at the lowest point at the right time before takeoff.
Yeah. So, by the way, if I keep looking up to the left, all suspect, it's because the neighbours put up this scaffolding right by my window, and there's men there, and then clanking around up there.
looking down at you, thinking, "What is this man doing?"
I keep looking, thinking I've seen a man. I don't know. They dropped a load of shit in the garden as well. There's loads of because they took out all of the insulation from the ceiling, and they just like dropped it everywhere. There's chunks like this big, just all over our garden. No, it's not good.
You should go and have a word. Go and have a stern
I already
word.
talked to them. I already had a word from the ground level. They said they're going to come round and they're going to clean it up. I don't know when that's going to be, you know, with these blokes. But
yeah, working on bloke time. They're probably never going to. Most of my experiences with blokes.
You can see, you see him. You see his all these fucking blokes, man.
Bloody
Right by my head. I just saw just a man's legs going past. All right, back to the fixing your flips. Get your Karen hair out. Someone says I should. Now I didn't even talk to them. To be honest, I was watering the plants, and they started talking to me, telling me how they were going to clean it up.
Oh, that's nice.
I should go full Karen though, but Karen doesn't work with builders. It's not the way to deal with blokes. You got to be like, mate, listen.
Right,
come on.
Listen,
You got to be their mate.
You know what it's like. Yo, do you want a cup of tea? Start every conversation with, do you want a cup of tea? But for real, you need to come and fucking clean this up out of my garden. But tea, how'd you have it?
Get him a cup of tea, no problem. You know?
Right, next thing.
Oh, the Webby.
The Webster.
It's kind of awkward to do it on a mat. Like taking off on the mat, it does make it harder.
It takes your spring.
Yeah.
His face at the end there as well. All right, okay. First thing that I can't see for sure because I'm in the way, but it looks as though you're dropping your head a little bit too much before you're taking off. It's like your chest's in like a decent position, but then just as you're about to actually swing the leg back, you drop it even further. If you can try and refrain from dropping the chest and your head, keep looking forward for as long as possible before you actually start swinging the leg back and taking off. It'll just make it a lot easier for you to lift and then pull your hips up so that you don't lose any height and you just gain rotation from the swinging of the leg.
An easy way to practice being in the right position before you take off is just practice doing the step backwards, but not to anything. And make sure when you step back onto that left leg, your right leg's up in front of you with your foot around like knee height, maybe a little above, and your head and chest is pretty straight up. You're not leaning forwards. Just practice doing a step backwards to that position a few times, get comfortable, then do what you're doing.
Yeah. But it's a really good starting point. And like I had my Webster like that I did it every single day for like 2 weeks and I just couldn't land it. And then I took 2 days off. And just because I'd been drilling the technique and then the power had come back and I felt rested, I did it and I was like, oh, okay, I can do it now. And I understood all the little micro adjustments that I needed to do, and you'll have the strength in the right places as well. So
yeah. It's one of those tricks that if you just put Webster in your warm up, if you just do like 5 a session, then it will just get good. Like, you don't have to spend too much time focusing on it, I don't think.
I get it though, because it is annoying. Like when you're landing flat on your ass, like
and your heels as well.
Yeah, and then like sitting down, you don't want to be doing that during your warm up. It's too much of like a jolty kind of.
What's he doing, man? What's he doing out there?
He's doing blog stuff. Leave him.
He's just knocking around on the bloody house. All right.
Next thing. Were you going to say something?
You're right. When you're not super comfortable with it. I mean, when you get to the point where you land it easy every time.
Yeah.
But I tell you one thing that completely transformed my Webster, because I've been practicing them for a while, like a couple months or something. And I used to always land on my heels and it was like super heavy. I like slapped on the ground. But one day, this was just me playing around. I just tried to take off like an aerial, swung my arms across like an aerial, and then tucked for a front flip. And I landed completely upright on the balls of my feet. And from then on, I could do it standing on concrete, super easy. So that's the way I teach it in my Webster tutorial, which is on YouTube. So I would recommend just trying that. It might not work for you, but for me, it transformed it instantly. So
hang on. So
yeah,
let me just make sure I understand. Make sure I understand correctly. So like as you're taking off, instead of swinging your arms straight back like this, you kind of swing them like this.
Nah. Well, you don't swing your arm straight. You only swing your arm straight backwards if you're doing the Russian tech of Webster
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
which I don't think is as good. But
Hmm.
I don't know. I did a lot of research on it for my Ultimate Webster guide, and it was hard to get like a definitive answer
Uh-huh.
because there's lots of really good Websters, and they all have kind of different technique.
Yeah,
So it's hard to know which one's best.
yeah.
But yeah, for this one, it's kind of like an aerial semi. Think how easy an aerial semi is to get round. It's like that technique, but instead of you spotting the floor the whole time, you tuck your chin in so you go over. And it feels as easy as an aerial semi, which feels kind of as easy as an aerial. So it makes your Webster feel as easy as like a tricking aerial. It's like a hack way to do it. It works in slow motion. It's that easy. You don't even need to put power in. But yeah. All right, next one. Aerial.
Let me see. Well, it's almost like you've got all of the different pieces of what would be a good aerial, but they just need a little bit of refinement. So the first thing, the right leg needs to just be kicked a little bit harder as you're taking off, and then just keep your legs straight. And that'll fix quite a lot, I would imagine. And then the only other thing that I think needs mentioning for the most important things is what your arms are doing. You're keeping your arms out and doing all this kind of shit while you're in the aerial. So if you...
Yeah.
Well, he kind of is. Like, look at the way he's landed. His arms are like
just in the air,
doing some mad shit. So, like, as you just like, you can open your arms up as you're moving for the aerial, but then once you've taken off, you're going to want to actually pull them in a little bit. And it hasn't got to be like super tight to your chest like this or anything, but it reduces any kind of drag and resistance that you're going to have in the move, and it feels a lot more comfortable and looks a lot better. So
yeah. That will help. And back to for the kicking your right leg backwards thing, if you think about pushing your hips backwards in the like away from the direction you're traveling, and try and think about using your leg to pull you backwards. Imagine you're trying to like even go backwards in your aerial. Everything from the waist down is trying to pull you backwards as hard as possible. And then your upper body is trying to pull you forwards and down. And that will really help you to extend everything out and get round faster.
Mm-hmm. Did you have difficulty with aerial when you were first learning it?
Yeah, because I used to try and do the like cartwheel with no hands one.
Yeah.
Fuck you up with that, obviously. But then when I got showed, like, I remember Nathan taught me butterfly kick when I first went to his classes at GMAC, like before the original UTX. And then I think someone there, him or Phil, told me to do aerial, to just put my head low and look at the floor, and then I could it was really easy.
I found it really I found it really confusing. Sorry, also the connection. I don't know what it is about being in Scotland. The connection's just dick, even though I've got full bars. But yeah, so you keep lagging out, so I'm not interrupting. But yeah, I found it really weird. Like, I felt like I was trying aerial for ages because I was trying the cartwheel tech. And then when I did do it, the B kick tech, I was like, this can't be it. It's just not. It's too easy. Like, it's not the move. Like, it's in my head, it was still a B kick, and then I filmed it, and I was like, well, it is different, but is it the thing? I don't know. A lot of the time, like, you don't need to overcomplicate these things in your head. It can just be as simple as that.
Yeah, well, I kind of thought the same thing, that it felt too easy to actually be it. But that is it. It is very easy. I mean, I've taught it to a man in his 50s, so... And he didn't even find it hard. Got in like a session. It's just not that hard.
I taught it to a couple in their 50s. That was weird. Two old couple. They really had it figured out. Oh, imagine that. Imagine if your whole clip was covered by Omid.
No, I can't move Omid. All right, we got a gainer switch gainer though. So let's see.
Oh, it looks good.
Yeah, there's just a couple things. One of them's, I'd say, the head positioning. It looks like he's kind of going around with his chin like this, which you really don't want, because that's just going to make you flip around the higher point. And try and arch your back. Like, yeah, if you try and lean back and arch your back as much as possible, it's a huge difference whether you're like your chin's up or your chin's down. So the more you lift your chin, the more arch you can get. The more arch you get in your back, the more you can separate your legs. the more you can separate your legs, the less of a flip you have to do in the air. So that's a really key thing. And yeah, just pushing the hips forwards as you swing as well, because his hips aren't really coming forwards much. So hips forwards, chin backwards. You want to try and see the ground as you leave the ground. Like, the sooner you can see the ground again, the better in gainer switch. And that's it, really. Those are the important things, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything else to add that's going to change his life. But I guess the other thing I would say is just trying to take off a little bit quicker so that you can really move faster in the first gainer switch. And if you are doing that along with leaning back, then you'll get so much power out of it. But yeah. Next thing.
Yeah. Oh, Omid's in the way.
Oh, this is lovely. This is.
Now you can kind of see. This guy was trying cart dub. He's trying to get cart dub. What would you say?
All right. Okay, first thing, you can't be trying cart dub. I mean, this is kind of a safe way to progress toward it, but you can't do a cart dub with your legs in that position. So when you take off, when you start to pull for the twist, you need to squeeze your legs together and keep them straight. I don't know if this was like a full attempt or if it's you just kind of feeling it out, but when you do fully attempt it, squeeze your glutes together. And you got imagine you've got a ball between your thighs and try and squeeze that ball as hard as you can. While you're doing that, the other thing is just trying to, that will kind of correct your hips and stuff like that. And then it's just a case of like pulling the twist across your chest a little bit more, a little bit sooner, sorry. And then you're good to go.
Would you recommend him going for it?
On grass? I mean, the way he's landing, he'd probably be fine. It's kind of hard,
like trying to lock it out and just go for it. I mean, it would probably be fine. I'm just wondering.
It's not the safest way, but it depends if you've got access to a gym. If you have got access to a gym, then try it onto a mat first. Try it into a pit or whatever you've got access to. If you've got a trampoline, then actually try and do like the cart dub takeoff when you're on tramp. But if that's all you got access to, then start building up your awareness by doing a cart full and a half and then doing another late half and then just gradually building it up to that and straightening yourself out bits and a little bit each time.
Yeah. I mean, that's quite a lot of the way around as well. One thing that should help as well, if you think about squeezing your butt really hard as you come out of the cartwheel, because his hips are sat a bit too far backwards. Mm-hmm. So that should help as well. If you can, I try and get access to a trampoline somewhere, because that's going to make the learning process like 10 times faster. If you can learn how to twist on a trampoline, then without any of the impact and the soreness as well, you can, like, for every one dub attempt on the floor, you could have done like 10 or 15 on a trampoline. So it's going to be a much faster way for you to learn twisting. So if you can get to a trampoline, get to one. If you can't, then like Omid said, I try and do full and a half and turn a little bit more. And when you can do that easily, so you're doing like, you're just a quarter off, then properly go through it. I wouldn't go through it. I do a bit more practice before fully going through it, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I don't know. I find this method, when you don't have access to a trampoline or you don't have access to any kind of more safe equipment, it can end up taking a little bit longer, like, to fix that straightening part of the trick, because you've spent so much time drilling it kind of tucked, because you can't really do it as straight as you need to when you're doing a normal double full. And from a lot of the people that I've taught in the past, they do find it hard to then go from tucked to a straight position when they're fully going for the double full. So it's just not ideal if you don't have access to any of these other things. Well,
it's going to be harder, though. It's going to be even harder to go from tuck to straight if you can't even land the move. You got to think about landing the move as well as trying to change your twisting technique.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I'd say probably get the kind of clutchy one round first, so you at least can do it.
Well, yeah.
I was not further down the line. Yeah. But all right, next one. Let's have a look at some more flips.
What's going on here? I thought this was a scene from Slender Man. It's pitch black.
Oh, these blokes, man. What are they doing up there? Fucking hammering away. I feel like they're gonna get in.
Yeah, they're just gonna break through the wall.
They just bust through the ceiling with a cup
All
of
right,
tea.
Cup of tea in hand, suspended by a harness and a ring.
Can hear all their ballads blasting from the radio.
Listening to Aha.
Typical blokes. All right. Oh, he says it was right before nighttime on it. That's why it's dark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, cleared that one up.
Yeah.
So this is a full attempt, standing full. You go
Right,
first.
Okay. First thing, stop trying to touch your ankles with your face before you've even taken off. That'll probably help. I know this is a weird one because I used to do the same thing because it feels a lot safer. You're like, oh, well, if I don't know, if I can kind of like look behind me and not jump quite as high, it's like a quick, instant reaction. But you need to face up to your fears. You need to open yourself up, allow yourself to gain the height, open your chest as you're taking off, and then think backflip. And as you're reaching over, that's when you start the full. Whereas right now, it's like you're trying to get the full done before you've even finished. And that is a good thing, but don't sacrifice all of your height because you're just going to travel too far back and you're not going to be able to actually get through the full, as we're seeing right here.
Yeah. There's a lot of different ways to full as well. Some people do them more like, not quite like this, but more that kind of tech, and they can do loads in a row because you can build a lot of momentum that way. But one thing that I'd focus on to make it a bit easier, so like Omid said, but this little thing is kind of easy to think about. Just as you take off, try and get your left elbow to above shoulder height. If you do that, then there's only so much you can really lean back. So that should help. Try not to throw your chest back as well. Try and stand up straight, left arm above shoulder height, then pull into your full.
But after everything that I'd said as well, this again is actually a really good starting point because you've not got the fear of actually doing the trick, and it's just a little bit of tweaking so that you're not leaning back too far. Because I still have the same problem when I'm doing certain twists, well, most twists on trampoline. It's really hard for me to like get my chest in the right position and keep my core engaged. So, yeah, it just takes a little bit of getting used to.
What's he doing out there?
Right. Why are you so interested in what this man is doing for his job?
Well, you can't get the perspective of it properly with the camera. It's just weird. They're just so close to my window. I don't like it.
All right. Getting Kojo spooked.
They dropped a massive piece of wood in my garden as well. Like a legit 10-foot long piece of wood. It's rested on the fence, and like between the house and the fence, they just dropped a big plank of wood. I don't know what these blokes are doing.
That's lovely.
All right, we got another Tudorers.
Hang on.
His hip positioning is a bit better on this one. So, let me see the foot.
Yeah, he's just turning too soon with the takeoff foot.
But that's not the biggest problem here.
No, I know. I was just off the back of what you said.
Yeah, so ideally you want to step onto your left foot with your hips facing the direction you're traveling. That's the first thing, because that's going to allow your arms to go straight forwards. But the big one here is the height that he's doing it at. So because he's doing it too high, his hand's touching at around the same time as his foot. It's more like a raise where you just touch at the end. But you want to push in the middle of that touchdown raise. So the way you can fix that is by getting your head and chest closer to the floor in the takeoff. And the way you can do that is if you think about your left arm swinging so low to the ground that it nearly brushes the grass. And then your right arm, wait, he does it the other way. Okay, so it'd be your right arm first. Right arm swinging so low to the grass that you nearly brush the grass. And then your left arm does the same thing. And that should set your chest at the right height so that you can touch down a lot sooner.
Yeah. I mean, the only other thing would be all of the tips that we gave at the beginning of this for that touchdown raise, where you're just turning your hips and your chest a little bit too soon, so it won't give you quite as much like snap into the second half of the touchdown raise. But yeah, lovely.
All right, next one. What we got? Oh, side swipe. This is your territory. Can't speak today.
Right. Okay. So first thing, bro, I swear, I've become like a 60-year-old man with my eyes so
He
small
is
on my
miles
screen.
away. He is in the distance.
Okay, so you're trying to get the. It's pretty much the same problem that we've explained with the touchdown raise, but key things. Try and get that right foot, the one that you're going to be taking off of, facing the direction of travel, instead of rotating an extra 90 degrees like you currently are. That'll help with keeping your hips and chest in the right position before takeoff, and then during the trick, so that you can land, and it will be a little bit more inverted. Your left arm, you're pulling it behind you like this before you've even started to take off. Actually swing your arms like so, and then think, and then as long as you've addressed that foot in facing the direction of travel, that'll all kind of link in really well, and you'll be more inverted, and the kick will feel a lot more smooth. And yeah, just focus on keeping your chest and your head. If you think about kind of pushing your chest and your head forward, as you're stepping onto the right foot, that helps with keeping the chest in the right position so that you can take off and get that kick out so that it comes almost straight over the head, and it just feels a lot more powerful and it looks a lot nicer. But yeah, they're the main things.
And I'm not a side swipe expert, but I've had similar problems to this. And one thing that really helped is thinking about getting the left leg much higher in the takeoff. So I used to try and kick it straight backwards, and I found that like messed me up a bit. So I kind of thought about bringing the left leg backwards and then across out to the side, and that allowed me to get it a lot higher and made it feel much more natural.
Yeah.
So maybe try that.
Bloody lovely that one was. All right.
Oh, another one.
Oh, he's done a whole little compilation for us. Go on, kid.
Oh, damn. I didn't realise.
Yeah, it's 17 seconds long.
Okay. It's not bad.
Fuck's sake, I wish I could move my face.
Yeah. Like, his hips are in a really good position in the takeoff. I think the arm motion's pretty good. The first thing that I'm noticing is the spot. Because it's like, as soon as he starts reaching forwards, he's looking over his shoulder. Yeah. And ideally, the hand that you're not putting on the ground, so in this case, the right hand, you want to look along that arm for as long as you can. Like, look past your hand all the way forwards as you swing it, as far in front of you as you can. All right, a couple of people have asked this. Like, you can't send us the clips now because how are we going to download the clips? Because we're doing a live stream, you know? So how would we do that?
Kind of in the middle of something right here.
Yeah, it'll be tough, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you'd have to not be doing a live stream.
We'd have to like stop the live stream, go and download the clips, and then come back and start again. Imagine do all of the ones that we've already done as well. Do it for the second time round.
All right, we'll start over. All right, anything else to add on that one?
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add on this.
He says, "Oh, sorry, Omid."
It's okay, pal. We all make mistakes, but don't do it again. Oh, yo, I look furious then. All right, okay, next thing. Oh, is he going to be behind Omid the whole time? Go on.
Oh, nice little scoot dub. Very cute.
Okay, well, we both need to say, neither of us are scoot dub experts. I've done scoot trip, but that was literally just raw power. Like, I just jumped as high as I could.
I did scoot dub, but that was raw power as well. So
yeah, I've done scoot dub and scoot 202 and 212, but I've only ever done the swings one time each. I did 202, 212, and 22 all just once. I think I might have done dub twice, but
that's all you need. That's all you need.
Right. Okay. Right. So first thing is. Let me watch this again.
I think it's the scoot. I think
Yeah, that's what
the
I'm
main
thinking.
thing. It's too short. He needs to get
Yeah.
more distance, more reach going forwards into the scoot. Because just like in a round off or cartwheel, it's like if you can travel further. So if you travel in one direction and then you take off at the right angle, you're going to turn that traveling momentum into height. If you don't travel, you're not going to get as much height. So travel. There
Yeah.
you go.
It
Making it
also
real simple.
oh no, it does look fine. Yeah, the other thing would be just your shoulders as you're taking off. If you can, just try and lift those shoulders a little bit more, because right now you're getting the twist rotation with your arms. But I would say if you can do exactly what you're doing with your arms currently, but then lift the shoulders and squeeze a little bit more, you won't be landing quite as crunched. But I mean, you're landing it, so it's a good start.
Yeah. All right, next one.
Another bloody comment about sending clips in. Nathan, you prankster.
All right,
Oh,
we got
go on.
This has all the same things that we said with the last aerial. So
Yeah.
think about pushing your hips backwards as you drive the leg backwards. Try and use your lower half to travel away from the direction you're going, and use your upper half to pull yourself forwards. Pull your arms into your chest, straighten your legs. Bob's your uncle. Fanny's your aunt.
Hey, I was going to say that, but I was mid swig.
Paul's your kid, your autistic son. Right. Next clip. Carry on.
And Eugene's your cousin with the cleft lip. You remember Eugene from uni train station, the cleft lip?
Oh, don't. Let's not go into Eugene today.
He was so pissed at me. Oi,
Oh.
someone's throwing shade at man.
JR with the sick burns. Not to be rude, bro, but do you need tips for your hook kick? Oof.
You know what? I'm just sad more than anything.
Hook kick tip for Omid?
Do you want me to do a hook kick right now? You know what? Actually, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you one of my hook kicks.
You're gonna
Fuck
do
you,
a hook kick now.
I'm going to find a hook kick. Have I got any hook kicks?
You got sick hooks.
Okay, I can't be asked.
Should we title this video on YouTube Omid destroyed ?
He did destroy me. He did.
Yeah.
I don't know whether to just be really nasty or not, because sometimes I want to just be nasty as a result of people calling me out on things I'm bad at, but I can't do that all the time. So I'm just not gonna.
Nah, you got to leave them to it. Hey.
Go on then. Let's run with this.
Oh, all right. Oh, yeah, we're fixing flips, aren't we? All right, we got a full here. I'd say the same thing as before, to be honest. I'd say focus on the left elbow getting above shoulder height. Because if you do that, then it just helps you to get into the right position. It will just mean that you'll be at least setting your height around there instead of throwing your left arm right down towards the ground. So I'd focus on that first.
I'm just watching it again. Yeah, we've already kind of covered everything, and you just gave him a little bit of a top up. So
All
next
right.
thing.
What we got? He's going for cart dub.
Going for cart dub.
Trying to get it. Similar situation.
Well, okay. One thing as well, the cartwheel looks as though you're kind of moving in slow motion when you're putting your hands down. So just really try and be a little bit more aggressive with the placement of the hands. So once that left hand goes down, you got to really throw the right arm across your chest so that you can get it down to the ground. And sorry, that's a burp. And then obviously follow suit with the right leg, just kicking that over your head as hard as possible and snapping it down to the ground.
You got him following suit.
What?
Sick. All right, let me see one more time. Okay.
Oh, shut up.
for practicing, for doing it the way you're doing and kind of building up the extra bits of twist, you're struggling to get that last kind of quarter twist, just so you're nearly there, because he's looking the wrong way. So when he comes out of it, he's looking over his right shoulder. I change that first. Try and do that same thing as high as you can with a faster cartwheel, but look over your left shoulder. Get used to looking over your left shoulder in the direction you're turning as you land. And yeah, because that way you can at least, do like a cart dub, but kind of in two parts. So it's like a full twist.
Yeah.
So at least you could do that. And then once you can do that, then you can straighten out the twist from there. Obviously, if you have a trampoline or a gym, it'd be much better and faster if you use that to learn how to twist rather than doing it from cart on grass. But if you don't have those things, do that.
Yeah. I forgot about lockdown as well. That's a bit of a bitch.
They're open in America, though. They're all going around coughing in each other's mouths, having a great time. Well, in lots of places, I think.
Specifically coughing. Talk about the hair. Sorry, there's a comment that said, you already talk about the hair, or I arrived at the right time. I don't allow it.
Okay. All right, what we got here? Ooh, a gainer. For this one, I'd say take it back a step. Watch my gainer tutorial, which is on YouTube as well. Because if you can learn to do a gainer, like built up through little steps, then not only do you learn a gainer from it, you learn how to do all the stages in between. So when you come to do more variations, when you come to combo into it, you've got all these different versions of gainer that you can do that are easier. So yeah, I think it's a much better way to learn it. Rather than just trying to go through it over your head, practice more going more around the side. Practice looking at the ground before you even take off, and just focus on landing on your feet. When you're landing on your feet comfortably, then start to lean back more, start to look over your head more. But there's no point in rushing, because what this is here, like, this isn't really helping. This is just falling down. Like, if you did a gainer around the side, yeah, it's not like a legit gainer, but it's more useful than just falling down.
Yeah.
And it helps you with other tricks as well, because sometimes you want to be going around the side in gainers for like variations and stuff.
When you're doing semis and megas and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have much else to add. I think just taking it a step back and then piecing together the correct movements. Like, as you're swinging, you're getting your arms are just out of sync with the swing leg. So you want to, just one little thing that always helps me when I'm thinking about swings is, imagine your foot that you're swinging and your hands are connected by a piece of string. So whatever happens with one happens with the other. So yeah, just once you take it a step back and then start incorporating the right kind of timing in between each section of the trick, it'll be a lot easier. But next, Juan.
Whoa, that's crazy.
What? How is he turning all the way around? Yo, that's really impressive.
That is pretty mad.
Wait, so are you trying touchdown or raise?
No, he's trying to do a raise.
Okay. Yeah, key thing here, don't turn around and do a backflip, because that's kind of what you're doing here. You're doing you're doing a half turn and then jumping off of your right leg in a backflip kind of position onto your left leg.
Looks
and
really
that's
cool.
It's not what a raise is. A raise is like,
it kind of is.
Yeah.
It's an old school raise.
Yeah, I guess so. But there's no half turn after you. Like, a half turn is meant to be after you take off, not before.
Yeah, it's gonna be a weird one to fix because he's used to doing it like that. But yeah, I'm trying to think what approach I'd take if I was doing it like that. Like, you're probably best off, like, still, because it's not bad. It's like, it's got a good amount of inversion. The arm motion, obviously, is not perfect because he's turning like half before he like steps. But
that's why it's going to be
takeoff. It's pretty good. The left arm's like pulling a lot of inversion. So I'd use this technique, but every time I do it, so first I'd try and have it so the right foot is just turned 90 degrees away from the direction I'm going. So try and do the same thing, but just don't turn your foot quite as much. When you can do that, try to turn it a little less. So so it's only like 45 degrees away from the direction you're traveling. And then when you're comfortable, then try and take off with the right foot facing forwards. I think if you try to go from this to taking off with the right foot facing forwards, then it would be completely alien and it wouldn't really work. You'd lose like what he's already doing. He'd have to relearn it completely. And I think
get that.
You could turn that into like a forward raise if you just work through little steps.
I get that, but like with you saying about him being more inverted and stuff like that, I mean, the arms, yeah, that's kind of a good thing, but of course it's going to be more inverted. He's kicking his left leg almost as if it's a dark side gainer. When he kicks that leg, it's already turned, so he can just kick it straight over his head. So I guess it's going to be hard to kind of translate that.
Though. He's not on a gainer. He's not doing it like a gainer, though.
I know it's like obviously a weird version because he's doing a half turn before he does it. But like, if you watch the direction his left leg swings, it's straight over. Like there's not much turn. It's not like he's kicking the leg
to
back.
The side and then over.
Yeah, but it's marginal. But either way, yeah, I think that is the best way to approach it. But it is just going to take some adapting. Like if it does feel worse and it's not as easy, that's fine. You're just going to have to kind of keep tweaking it until you can get it to a point. Well,
it's like once you've made the first pretty minor change, if he just has the foot turned like 90 degrees more towards the direction he's traveling, already you're going to have a pretty decent raise there. Like, because that's going to make the arms go more forwards. It's going to allow the left leg to come more kind of back and then to the side rather than just over.
Yeah,
I don't know. Already that would make it a lot better.
Yep. All right, next one.
Yeah. Heyo.
That was good.
I'd say the same thing as I said about the last gainer. I think working through the progressions around the side is more useful than trying to swing into a back flip with split legs. Because that's not really what a gainer is. A gainer's not a back flip with split legs, even though it kind of is. It's closer to an aerial than a back flip.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one approach that I think is probably going to reap the best results. That's not that bad, though.
Well, that attempt. It's not that bad, but it's like, even if he can land that, then it's like, well, then what?
Well,
it's still not that. It's still not. Huh?
You start pushing your hips, arching your back a little bit more. I mean, he's starting to get like, he's got the head position, like as he's kind of throwing it back a little bit, but it's like he's trying to arch his back, but his hips are sat so far back that he's not going to get the arch needed.
I just think it's a much harder way to learn it. It's like the same way with, think of an aerial. You can learn an aerial by practicing really high cartwheels and then doing a really high cartwheel without putting your hands down. But it's just such a hard way to learn the move, and it takes such a long time to make it easy. Like this way, once he's landing it every time, then he'll be able to slowly start splitting the legs a bit more, maybe push the hips forwards a bit more. But you can tell that he's thinking of it like a swing backflip with split legs, which it isn't. That's not what you're trying to... A gainer is all about the swing leg. It's the swing leg has to continuously swing all the way around. And it's very hard to learn how to do that in a backflip, because a backflip works in a completely different way. It works by you setting with your chest and then tucking in. I just think it's quite hard to turn this into like a good gainer. I think in one session, he could work like around the side and build up the inversion and have it in like one session, instead of doing this again and again and it taking ages to get good at. In my opinion, my humble gainer opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I just don't have that much experience of seeing people being able to get to grips with the round the side and then being able to turn it so it's more inverted.
It's easy.
Yeah, but a lot of people end up not doing the inverted version from my experience of like actual coaching people. But then if you start explaining it,
plenty of people.
Huh?
I coached it to plenty of people. You just get them to look over their head.
I wasn't talking about you coaching other people. I was talking about me coaching other people.
And then I was talking about me coaching people as well. To tell you that some people learn it.
I know, and we're just saying the same thing, but from opposite ends. I was just saying I don't have that much experience of doing it that way, because whenever I have, a lot of the time, because my approach is more on the backflip side of it that goes into this kind of approach, because whenever I've gone with the more around the side version, people end up then finding it more difficult to go over their head.
Only if you don't tell them how to change it.
No, just some people are just a lot more scared of going over their head after they've had the comfort of going around the side. And that's exactly what I had. Even though I could do gainer well,
if they're
whenever I
scared
was
of
trying
going
to do
over their head,
cork, I'd go around the side. I did like this swing B-twist thing because I couldn't commit to the backflip with the twist.
but if they're scared of going around the side, like going over their head, then how would they learn better doing it a backflip method where they go completely over their head?
I'm saying that they build the kind of, it's like a comfort blanket of going around the side. But either way, we're going completely off topic of like what you said. I agree with what you said.
No, it's interesting though. It's interesting though, because you're right. It is like a comfort blanket, which is exactly what you want. You want to make it as comfortable and still feeling as possible.
Yeah, the simplicity, yeah. But I think also when people start finding it more difficult to stray away from that comfort blanket, that's when you end up having problems. Because I have had that, where people like, they go around the side and then all of a sudden they're like, they can do backflips and stuff, but the second you start trying to get them to change it into the, like looking over their head a little bit more, they start freaking out and not being able to commit to it, or they just stick to going around the side.
Well, I wouldn't change it then, because you don't need to go, like you could spend like a month, 2 months going, you could still be looking at the floor the whole way through and doing a really nice looking, fully extended gainer where you're learning how to push your hips forwards. You're learning how to do one continuous swing. You're getting the air awareness of just doing the move. You could practice that for months. And then when you've done it like 100, 200 times, then you'll feel way more chill about going over your head. Like, I don't think there's any rush. True. I think that just teaches you, because even think of like a UTX, like, a lot of the girls that have come through have done that type of gainer when Nathan's like spotted them for a perfectly inverted gainer. Think of like Phoebe or someone. And it's like, they get this gainer and then they get it with split legs, but they can't do anything with it because it's really hard. Because every time they do it, it's as hard as doing a backflip layout like off one leg. And it means if they're trying to combo to it, if they're coming from a B-twist, they've got to swing to a completely inverted flip. They can't let themselves go around the side. I think you have much more awareness if you know how to do it around the side. I think it's a lot more useful.
I feel you. I do agree. It's just that, like I said, with the people that I have taught in the past, it ends up being like a way bigger thing for them than it should be, and then it ends up hindering them. This is why, like, I'm not saying which one is. I mean, it sounds as though from everything that you said, I agree that that probably is the best method. But from my experience, I hadn't really made my mind up as to which one would be the best.
Well, I want to know that. This is why I'm asking you, because I like improving my understanding of these things. So this is because to answer one of these comments, someone said, what was it? Why not give people each of your recommended methods and let them decide, guys? There are many different approaches. I don't think either of you are wrong. And it's like, that's fair enough, but we're trying to figure out.
We're trying to figure out the best method.
We're trying to figure out the best. So you said hinder. I want to know, how does it hinder them?
Because it's like, okay, using my approach to cork, when I first started learning cork, because of what Nathan had told me, and because of the habits that I drilled of trying to do cork, where you swing up and then once you're horizontal, you start to twist in the air. Remember that, I mean, obviously, I did it a lot.
That's teaching it wrong. That's teaching it completely wrong, though. That's not.
No, I know, but like, but once I'd done that, I found it really difficult to change that. So even when I was really, really trying my best to do a gainer and then do a twist at the right time, I still had it like kind of ingrained within me. And that was the safety blanket element of it, because it was like, I'd already experienced it and I already knew that that wasn't that bad. Even though I was falling on my side, whenever I try and do it over my head, my brain would like freak out a little bit more. Hence why a lot of the time I try and get people to do, I try both a lot of the time.
That's not really, usually, that example doesn't really make sense though, because you just pretty much said how learning cork a way that like doesn't work for learning cork made it harder for you to commit to cork. But we're talking about learning a gainer by building up inversion. So
well, no, because I was talking about the safety blanket element of it. You said how does it hinder
but that's
you?
not a safe, like, your example was learning a trick wrong. So I just don't think that relates.
No, but if it feels safer to me, then when I start doing something brand new, because I've already done this thing, it's a lot harder. Like changing that element of the trick makes it a little bit harder. So then it ends up causing like the same sort of issues, but you could have just kind of, my thoughts before were kind of like, you could just nip it in the bud and try and do it more inverted first time round.
I don't know. It doesn't really. Do you have an example? Because the cork one doesn't fit. Because that doesn't fit at all. That doesn't support the point.
Well, I'm trying to think of,
like, is there an example where it would be a hindrance to build up a move through small progressions? Like, not
when you put it like that, but it's like if you can commit to it going over your head a little bit more. I mean, now we're kind of talking around the point. It's like,
no, I'm just wondering, like, what would be the benefit with this? Could apply to like any trick, as well. Really, what is the benefit of not doing all the progressions, not knowing every progression? Because you could skip ahead. You could skip ahead, and you could, like, a potential benefit could be you get the trick faster. Fair enough, but you don't have all the stages in between. You don't have as much overall control, and most of the time, you won't actually get faster.
Yeah.
But,
true.
so, what other benefits would there be?
Well, that's kind of it, honestly. Like, because, well, the only thing for me, I guess, from those experiences where I've gone more around the side, because a lot of the time when I do get people to do gainer, if I do it pretty quickly, where they go around the side a little bit more and then they build it up and then they tilt their head back as they're taking off, and then they're like, oh, fucking hell, that was it. That was the same. But it's kind of like, there have been instances where I've done that, but people end up then not being able to invert it for many, many sessions, and then they don't get it at all when they are perfectly kind of ready for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, kind of. Because I just say, I wouldn't even worry about that. If they're scared to, like, fully invert it, you can do it pretty inverted. You can do a gainer as inverted as an aerial, looking at the floor the whole time. So just do it like that until you're good enough at it to look over it. Like, what's the rush?
Yeah, I don't know. I've always
been if the problem's fear, if the problem's fear, then I think it'll be harder to just go straight over their head. And if they are someone that's struggling with fear, then instead of them worrying and trying to get over fear, they could just be drilling gainers going around the side and getting the reps in.
No, that's fair. I agree with that.
But no, I do like talking about teaching methods, though, because I've changed them a lot over the years as well. So, like, it's good to find holes and try and work around them.
I mean, to be honest with you, like, now, like, this is one of those things where it's kind of like, I'm gonna sit on this for a minute, think about it, and then incorporate it into my teaching moving forward. Because I've just had those experiences where people end up having problems because they're going around the side a little bit more, and then they can't get used to it. And I'm literally looking at it. I'm like, all you have to do is do this. That's all you need to change. But then they just can't do it. And I'm like,
I used to think the same thing about, because of Nathan trying to teach corks like that and stuff, about not inverting and then inverting more. But then I realized you only get, if you know how to invert more, then it's not really a problem. Like, doing something that's under inverted is only a problem if you don't know how to invert it. If you know the tiny adjustments that you need to make, like the things that will make a gainer more inverted are your head being lower, or looking over your head will make it even more inverted. When you know the key things, so you just do a gainer the same, but try and get your head as low as possible, then it's not that hard to invert it.
Yeah.
Like, before, it was just, I didn't really know what would invert the move. So I was like, well, if you learn it not inverted, then you're going to be stuck with that technique. But when you know all the different, I think it's I think it's important to know all the different levels of inversion.
No, I agree with that.
Like,
I agree with that. That was something I was kind of talking to one of my privates about the other day. and just like being able to do things incrementally. This is why I think like being able to do the full and then full and a half and then double full is really important, because like once you go through those progressions, when moving forward, if you want to start learning full mega, full hyper, full semi, and all that kind of shit, you've already got those things like built in within you and within your training, so it's not too much of a leap. Whereas if you go, because like for me, I didn't really do it that way. I was just going straight for the derb and I was fucking myself up. But I wish I'd have gone through it where it was like, and I didn't learn Arabian until like 4 years ago or something, and that was like 4 years into my training.
We all have holes. Like there's a comment here that says, I've done corkswing cork before doing corkswing gainer, and it took me a month to get it consistent after drilling. And it's like, yeah, I did corkswing cork before corkswing gainer. I actually did corkswing double cork before corkswing gainer. But people will tell this to me sometimes like it's a good thing. Like, it's not a good thing. Like, oh, I learned this trick badly. It's like, it's not good. I've done that with loads of things myself as well. But over time, you'll look back and you'll realize, oh shit, this is causing me problems in my tricking now. I don't have as much control as I would have.
I don't know. We just kind of saw it as funny. We always just kind of saw it as funny at the time. Whenever we do things in like stupid ways, it was never something we'd be proud of or whatever. It was just kind of like, it is like, I know it's difficult.
I did talk about it, like, oh, I can gainer switch dub, but I can't do gainer switch gainer. But it wasn't a good thing.
No, it's never been a good thing.
It's kind of stupid, like having these big holes where you can't, like, you want to be able to control exactly what your body's doing.
Yeah. But let's do. I think we'll have time for one more.
Let's do last one. All right. Well, that's just the same as the other ones with the full tips. Let's go on to the next one. That's elbow over shoulder height. Same as what we said.
That's such a good tip. I remember you saying that to me before about someone, and I was like, fucking hell, that's the perfect tip.
I just found it's an easy, actionable thing, you know? Like, to just follow. And then, yeah,
spot on.
Cartwheel. It's not bad. It's not a bad start to cartwheel.
You're throwing your chest around like this as you're finishing the cartwheel. You don't want to do that. And also, we're running out of time, so I'm doing this really quick. And then the other thing is cartwheel, kick that right leg way harder as you're taking off. And make sure that you've not got your ass sticking out as you're doing the cartwheel. Push your hips out in the opposite direction to make sure that you're doing it correctly. And
spot the ground in the direction you're traveling. Try and keep looking in that direction the whole way. Yeah. Those are the main. It can't fool. The technique changes depending what you're doing. If you're trying to do a high one, if you're trying to swing out of it or vary it or whatever. So I wouldn't overthink it starting out, but those are the main things for just getting it. You know, those are the general tips.
Yeah.
Do you want to do one more?
Well, we got 1 minute 30 left.
Oh shit! Let's go. All right, here he comes. Oh,
is that little Andrew?
Is that what?
Little Andrew.
I don't know. I don't
think so.
I don't think so. It's the littlest scoop, though.
It was like you were, I don't know, if you did it any longer than that, you were going to land in a hole. Yeah, spread your scoot out a little bit more. One thing I think about is kicking the left leg around and underneath the right leg as I pull the right leg back while doing the scoot. That really, really helps. And then just actually having a trail leg and then swinging it down into the ground as you're doing the pop, which will give you loads more power into the full. And yeah, main things. Just fix that scoot. Yeah. Right, we've got 30 seconds left. So have you got anything to add?
We'll finish this one off. You got time to be Shromi?
Oh yeah, of course. Hang on. How do I get rid of this? No. Right. Okay. Thank you for joining us. We all had realizations today. We all learned a thing or two. Kojo brought something to my attention that I hadn't really, I don't know, kind of made my mind up on. So everyone thank Kojo in the comments. Subscribe. All praise the Shramid. That's it. Peace.
Yeah. Subscribe.